All right. So it looks like our graphics are gone. I have now 6:36 is our official time. We'll go ahead and call that meeting to order. This is the 2022 Council Organizational Meeting. Roll call, please.
Oh, would you like me to do? I'll do it.
Thank you.
Ms. Treview,
Present.
Mr. Lawson,
Present.
Ms. Gerald,
Present.
Ms. Brown,
Here.
Ms. Chandler,
Present.
Ms. Boyd,
Here.
and Mayor Poole.
Present. Very well. Emily, were there any minutes from last year?
There were, but those should have been approved at the first meeting in January.
I thought they were. Okay, just want to make sure that they were approved. All right. Go down here. One moment. All right. So the first thing that we have, a couple items that we have on our agenda tonight. Kind of want to get some housekeeping stuff out the way. I do want to start out by saying this certainly is not the way that we anticipated our year in terms of our meeting. However, the rising cases in Hamilton County, I had no other choice but declare another emergency here in the village to do Zoom. So we're going to do Zoom, of course, tonight. We are going to do Zoom on our first meeting at the end of the month on the 25th. And there is a possibility that we're going to be doing Zoom when we get to our finance meeting the week prior to our council meeting. Okay. Our goal is that we are going to come back in February, but it's all based on these numbers. And again, I'll keep everybody informed of that. But again, these numbers are rising, and I just need to be making sure for the safety of not ourselves, but for the residents here in the village. Okay. All right. So with that being said, the first thing that we do want to get out of the way, we do have to select a vice mayor each year in January. And so we want to move forward with that and get that piece out the way. Are there any, does anybody want to make any motions for someone for vice mayor?
I'd like to make a motion for Pam Fitzgerald to be vice mayor.
I second.
One more. Oh, Emily, you are writing, right?
I am writing.
Pam, go.
I second that.
All right.
Where'd she go?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to make a motion.
So let me tell you guys, let me tell you how this will work, okay?
So Mayor Poole, if I
Yes.
could. So we will take all nominations that are first and seconded. If there is more than one nomination, when we vote, council will vote by stating the name of the person they are voting for.
All right. So again, there is a, Pam Fitzgerald is on the floor as a nomination. Cindy, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. And as I'm learning, please instruct me. I would like to make a motion to nominate Tiana Treview as vice mayor.
I'll second that.
Who seconded that, Ms. Boyd?
Ms.
Yes.
Boyd. Thank you.
Pam is still trying to connect in. Here. There she is.
Is she?
Yes,
Who
she's
she
not
is?
there.
Okay, she's coming in with the audio.
She can't hear.
Can't hear? No.
She got kicked out. She texted me that she was kicked out, and she's trying to get back in.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
My question was, I didn't know that you could be nominated vice mayor 2 consecutive years. I just didn't know that. I don't have a problem with that. I think Tiana has done a nice job, excellent
Yes,
job
you-
being vice mayor. I just didn't know you could do 2 consecutive.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
We still waiting. I'm still seeing Pam trying to connect. There she go.
Yeah, she's here.
Did it connect?
Unmute.
You're on mute. Okay.
There she is.
I can't hear through the computer.
I can hear
me?
you.
We
Yes.
hear you.
We can hear you.
Mhm.
I called in. I don't know what happened, and we just went through an update and just cut me off.
Oh. Okay.
So I'm
That's
sorry.
weird.
I missed.
Hey, no. You good. You good. All right. Are there any other nominations? Having
I
none,
missed that
so
part.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I missed that part. I don't know who did what. It just cut me off after the roll call.
Okay. So we're going through the piece of selecting a vice mayor. We ask that the nominations come onto the floor. You and Tiana have been nominated as the vice mayor. So at this time, what we do is we go and we cast our yays. Is that correct, Emily?
We will, when the roll call is vote, you will say the individual that you are voting for vice mayor.
Very well.
And the
So,
two
Brian, is it
nominees,
too late?
the two nominees are Miss Trabue and Miss Fitzgerald.
Emily, can I decline at this time?
You can, we would still do the vote, but with council understanding that you don't want to have that position.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing somebody.
I'll make a note also, Ms. Fitzgerald.
Okay, thank you. All
that
right.
That you've indicated that you do not want the position. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Very well. Okay. All right,
We'll call for a vote then.
correct.
Ms. Boyd,
Tiana.
Ms. Chandler,
Yay for Tiana.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
and that's these, Ms. Brown and Ms. Fitzgerald, those are for Ms. Trabue, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Mr. Lawson
Same thing, Ms. Trabue.
and Ms. Trabue.
Yes.
Very well. All right. So again, congratulations, Tiana, for 2022 vice mayor. And some more work for you to do, right? On my behalf. I appreciate that. It's all for the good for everybody. So again, congratulations on that.
Mayor,
Gonna
if
go
I may,
move very well.
just quickly, just to
move
say
right-
thank you to you all for entrusting in me this important position for the second year, and look forward to serving the village and helping out Mayor Poole with all the things that we want to accomplish this year. And look forward to working with you all again. Welcome, Cindy. And let's get to work.
Very well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
Very well. All right, in front of us, did everybody get a copy of their rules of counsel?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Are there any questions about the rules of counsel? Are there any changes that we need to look at for 2022? Excuse me.
Mayor, typically I take notes.
Were established based on the holiday schedule that the village sets forth. Has the holiday schedule for 2022 been provided? Has that been set?
Yes.
I believe it has been, yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay.
And can I add one additional thing?
yes.
So as it relates to the committees, appointing committee chairs and committee members, and establishing the committee schedule. That is the responsibility of the vice mayor. So I'll be reaching out to all of you to get information on what your preferences are for committees, which committees you would prefer to be a part of, which ones you would want to chair. And then I'll build out that schedule as well as the committee roster based on that.
Okay,
And I will have that to you all by the council meeting at the end of this month.
thank you.
Okay. And Vice Mayor, are you going to take care of the Cal schedule as well?
Yes.
Okay. Pam, you had a question?
I was gonna say, what about a request to, okay, so we're gonna, at this time, do we decide if we're gonna continue having just the one meeting for Cal? The Cal meeting and not some of the, maybe breaking out something else out that Cal meeting? Like an economic development meeting once a month, that's what I'm.
I think that's already set forth in the rules of council, that the committee of the whole meeting is monthly and the other meetings are as needed.
Correct. So we can treat it the same way, Pam. If we feel that there is a strong need to break off, we certainly can do that. And it would be advantageous to us to do that as well.
And I stand corrected.
Okay.
Finance committee does meet every month. The
Correct.
rules of council provide that, with the exception of finance committee, all other committee meetings are as needed.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So Tiana will get that out to everybody by council. By the end of the month, she'll have that out to you. And then in February, when we're ready for our first Cal meeting, that certainly that schedule will already be out. Okay, so look out for that as well. So we got that taken care of. We do have to adopt this on a yearly basis. Is that correct?
If there are no changes to it, it'll stand as written.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Now that we have them, those important things out the way, I just wanted to take a little time just to talk a little bit about where we would like to be, where we would like to go in 2022. What's some pressing things that's kind of coming to your head that we would like to include, of course, village manager in terms of reaching those goals is something that each of us have been thinking about. Some really good initiatives for 2022 is where I'm going with that.
So I have a question. My question is, what role does council play into the budget? Meaning, I know there's things that council likes to see and some initiatives that council has done in the past. An example, the beautification, holiday lighting, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
What say do we have in the budget for line items, things like that? Is that the time now to kind of spell that out on things we want to do?
Well, yes. If you can expand a little bit, just expound a little bit. Tell me more. When you say about a line item, what's your thought?
Well, so my thought is, I know in the past we've done beautification. I think you were on council and some other members that are currently seated on council. We've done adopt a pot, different things like that. So it seemed to me, from me looking in from the outside, that sometimes things weren't planned out in advance.
Okay.
And so I think if we have an opportunity to plan things out on what council would like to do moving forward, the holiday lighting, I know that came some out of recreation department's budget.
Okay.
I know the other thing was the yard sale. So different different initiatives like that. Where does that fall? So we're not pulling from another department's budget.
Right. So I think when it comes to, like, for instance, you talked about the lighting of the tree lighting, the flick or whatever we had this past winter, Christmas. I'm not going to say, I would say that that is in recreation. So my thought would be behind that is, which is a great thought. If we're thinking like that and we want to make that program better for this year, right? I think we should start talking about that now, right?
Absolutely.
We should start having those. Those are the things that we want to hear in Cal, right?
Okay.
So we have this conversation with the manager because the Cal is going to look a little different this year. Okay. I just want everybody to know that the Cal is going to look a little different. The Cal is pretty much going to be us and his directors, but he's the spokesperson. Okay. He's the spokesperson, right? He's relying on them to give him any information that perhaps have been missed, but he's going to be that spokesperson for us. So that means that if we are looking to have something for Christmas season, Halloween, whatever recreation puts, then we need to talk about that, right? And it becomes a budgeted item. It gives us enough time to talk about that where we're not pulling pie out of the sky or pulling away from another line item, okay? If it's something that has to do with economic development, then again, we are working with the village manager to reach that goal. In terms of the budget itself, yes, council does have a say-so. A temporary budget will be put in place here soon. And then once that, before his permanent budget goes in, we will have some input on that budget, okay?
Very good.
But I think that you're right on point, and that's the way my thinking is if we're thinking of these different initiatives in some of these departments, then perhaps we need to have that conversation and talk about that in that budget, right?
Sure.
We talk about every year about different things that we want to put on the streets for during the holiday. Might it be a season's greetings? We know that that's pretty much out of Public Works. So we will work with Public Works budget to address what we're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And so I guess the bigger question is, when do we talk about it? Is it during like the Cal, because Cal seems like more of the working session of council, or is it going to be something that we may have a council retreat to brainstorm, a brainstorming session? I understand with COVID and the different variants hitting, it may look a little different on how we get together, but when is the appropriate time to discuss those things?
Well, I can't really say exactly what would be an appropriate time. I think it's very appropriate that if you have something available, and this is for anybody, right? And you'd like to see brought on to recreation, public works, police department, whatever it is, then that conversation is always, the door is open for our village manager to begin to have those conversations now. Let's not wait, right? Because what he could possibly do is say, hey, Councilwoman Chandler came to me and she was talking about doing XYZ in the summertime. I want to talk about that with the group, okay? And then it gives us an opportunity to weigh in as well, right?
Absolutely. Okay.
So again, I think that when I talk about that process is going to look a little different for our Cal, we want to have that communication with him, right? We really want to have some communication with him so he understands where we as a village council is trying to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Chandler,
Yes.
Ms. Chandler, just for the budgeting yearly process. So there's currently a temporary budget in place. It has to be passed by December 31st, and it is good through March 31st. So between now and March 31st, there will be a budgeting process. by which the municipal manager and the finance director will work with the department heads to propose a budget for council to approve at the end of March. And during those conversations, if there are specific items that council members or council at the committee of the whole would want to be added or included within that budget, I think just bringing those to the attention of the municipal manager so he can see whether or not they can be incorporated, because obviously the village's core responsibilities will come first, police, safety, roads, that stuff. But to the extent the budget will allow it, the municipal manager and the finance director are tasked with trying to figure out how those goals can be incorporated into the budget.
Absolutely. So I thank you and I appreciate that. Just wanting to follow protocol on how and when questions and conversations should be had. So thank you, Mayor and Ms. Supinger, for answering that.
Very well. All right. So when we talk about kind of going back toward what you were talking about, Cindy, and this is really for the group. So here we are in January, and springtime is really right above us, right in front of us, right? So we need to really start thinking about the spring. I always like to think a season ahead. And then that way, come springtime, we're looking at late summer, early fall to talk about the next set of events or whatever you want to talk about. So I'm hoping that we can stay ahead of it in terms of where our thoughts are, realistic stuff. Hey, I like to see this happen between now and April. So we need to be having that conversation now about things that we want to do here in the next couple of months, okay? Some great initiatives are coming. I know that they're working on, just a small update, I know they're working on a grant for safe routes to school. There is some grant money out there. There has been some identifying of areas that we can apply that money to if we are awarded the grant. So I'm hoping that that all comes out in the early spring. I know that the application is due in March. So I know he's working on that. All of us are aware that we were awarded $180,000 from Hamilton County Development. That is Dan Ferguson and his team. Everybody familiar with that a little bit?
Yes.
So that money that awarded will be able to buy property with that. So identifying property that we want to look at to purchase, we'll be able to use that money toward that. So that's a good thing as well. So that's coming down the pipe, or it's already in the pipe. And then Emily, are you aware of anything different from January or in the last few months in terms of the property, Marion Road and Springfield Pike? That's where we know we have to go in and pull those tanks. Is that the last of what we all know?
That's correct. There's been no update since then.
Okay. So we're going to get that. We are going to have to go ahead and pull those tanks out of there. That's part of that outfit that Atlas, I believe it was, that went in and did the scope of the work there. So now that we know that there is tanks in the ground, we'll be able to go ahead and remove those, and it'll have a better, have a better standing chance on marketing that property for future use. Okay, so more to come on that. What else do I have on here? Oh, I wanted to question, does council, in the last couple of years, we've cut budget down for the purpose of just saving some money, understanding where we were financially. I think we're at the point where we feel more comfortable knowing where we are in terms of finances. And I know that in the past couple of years, council's budget has been cut. Does anybody have a concern about me requesting that be replenished a little bit more? And the reason that I say that is I'm looking at some different trainings that we all can take part of. And if we go to one training that might almost wipe our budget out, we are still trying to keep all training in the state of Ohio just because of the cost effective. But it may, sometimes we have to go outside of the state, but our goal is to stay in the state of Ohio and take any and all training that's offered to us, especially if it's free, okay? Ms.
Mayor.
Boyd, you had a question?
Yes, excuse me for not giving you my full attention when you started, but you said that this is for training. You're suggesting you have a budget for the training. You're suggesting that we keep all training within the state of Ohio if we wanted to request some training that we'd like to go to. Is that what you're saying? Just need to understand.
Yes, I'm saying that most training in the state is cheaper, number one. And then number two, a lot of the training in Ohio sometimes is just offered because we're a membership of something.
Okay.
It could be the Ohio Municipal League. It could be, what's the other one? National League of Cities, National League of Cities. So if we're part of those organizations, there's always some type of discounted pricing, if not free, that is offered to us. So again, from a cost saving standpoint, if we can partake on those type of courses, then certainly we should take advantage of those.
Thank you.
Did that answer it, Ms. Boyd?
Yes, thank you.
Gotcha. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Any other ideas out there that have been plaguing and we kind of want to jump into it for 2022?
I would just like to see more done in our economic development. I know we've been talking about that. So definitely just moving forward in the economic development category. I know like you just described, that we have some things that are going to start to happen. But hopefully there'll be things that eventually we can start to see. So, and to try to move that needle that we've been trying to do for the last couple of years. But we know with COVID and things have, slowed us down some. So I would like to see that moving forward.
Okay, I agree with you. And I believe now, Pam, that since Mr. Ruggles and his team have given us his final report, kind of gives us a better insight. And I believe that you're right. At this time, I think it's time for us to really put some focus on that, right? So good stuff. Yes, I do not want to lose. I really want to build a really big momentum with the economic development in 2022. I think it's time for us to see some things.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of asked the question before on the committee level, the meeting level. I know that it's a part of it. We can branch out when we need it, but if it's something that we can continue to talk about and put it on the calendar on a regular basis, that's what I would definitely like to see. Because I just don't want to lose talking about it in the scope of it. So I know it's lumped, and we have done things, like I said, things that changed over the last couple of years, but to just get that back on the radar would be great.
You got it. No problem. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. All right. I know we talked about last year, team, we did talk about some capital improvement. We talked about capital improvement at the pool, some additional capital. We talked about those big awnings in the pool area. We talked about that. So we want to continue to have that conversation with Tim in terms of making sure to see, what we need to do to make that happen as well. But when it comes to the pool team, remember, we do have a levy that is on the ballot this year. Okay. And so he have given us throughout the last year, and Cindy will make sure that you get that information. And it broke it down and gave us kind of like a scenario. okay, on option A, B, C. And so we want to really have a decision in terms of what we're going to do by late May, June, because it does need to be on the ballot. I want to say August. It has to be into the ballot, into Board of Elections, August.
Early August. So it'll have to be passed by council. It requires two pieces of legislation. It requires a resolution of a necessity and an ordinance to proceed. The resolution of necessity is the document that we sent to the auditor in order to determine what the levy would generate. Once that information is received, it is added to the ordinance to proceed, which actually places it on the ballot. So the process, if you were to stick to just regular council meetings, you would pass your resolution of necessity in June and your ordinance to proceed in July so that it could be to the Board of Elections in August.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
one thing that I think we should keep an eye on and get a little bit tighter around is the road preservation plan, and taking another look at the roads that we have currently on the list to be replaced, and then thinking ahead to the next 3 or 4, so that we always have an eye on kind of what's happening next. I know that there had been a list at one point, but I think that we could spend a little bit more time, obviously led by the village manager in the Public Works Department and Finance, but being a little bit more proactive about what's coming down the pipeline with the roads for this
Okay.
year.
Okay. And good point, because not to say we haven't been aggressive, but we didn't see as much work as we would like to in 2021, right? For whatever reason. So that I do know that early spring bids will be going back out. We're going to resubmit those bids out for Woodstock, Tanager, and it was a third one. Miss Rosemary, do you remember what that third one was?
I don't.
I
don't know. I don't remember if it was the one on the list or not. Woodstock, Tanager, Ronnie, we've already done.
It's not Rust.
Was it Chester?
I think Ronnie was on the road because I recall Mrs. Hogue cheering at our meeting. And I think Ronnie was on the list. I think that
Well, it was on the list, but I thought Ronnie was gone. But
I wanted to say that this year, come the spring, Woodstock, Tanager was taken off because we're going to have to do something up on Tanager. But again, I know for a fact that Woodstock was on there. I thought Ronnie Road was on there, and I thought Tanager was one. But then I thought that we took Tanager off and Timberland was supposed to be put on.
Right,
there was some talk about Timberland being put on.
Yes, I do recall that. But the question go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Nothing. Go ahead.
I do recall me questioning in December to the village manager when they talked about Timberland. Is Timberland in a disarray to the point where it is prioritized over something that is worse? And I gave him an example of a street in terms of when we did a comparison. So Timberland was on the list, but I gave him a street that I felt that was in a much needed street over Timberland. So he's going to look at that.
Yeah. I'd ask that we get a copy of that list again of the streets and their status on that list.
Okay.
Because I agree that there are some more streets that I think are much more in much worse shape.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, I do know that when they talked about Timberland, I want to say it was more of an overlay over there. I don't believe that it was no full depth or anything like that. I recall hearing
Mhm.
that. So I remember them talking about kind of when it was pricing, looking at pricing in terms of the cost. But again, I will make sure that we get that so everybody can see that, okay? But I do know for a fact that Woodstock and I believe Ronnie Road is on that list for this spring. Okay, but I'm gonna make sure we get that, okay?
Mhm.
All right. Mm. Something else I want to put on here. I just want to keep you guys posted. Couple things I want council to be aware of. You haven't heard here probably in the last 6 months about the shooting range. I don't want anybody to think that is a dead subject. It is not, okay? We continue to have these talks with county commissioner. We are having a meeting with the new elected mayor. I believe it's scheduled for next week, just to let him know that this is still on our radar and it's very important that we don't take it off the radar. What we were told is that we know that it is going to move. We know that. When, that's the question mark. So they're still going back and forth with the logistics in Colerain Township. So I believe that's kind of where they are with that. But again, if anything changes, I'm going to make sure that council is aware of that. But I don't want people to think that it's a lost cause. Over the weekend was just crazy. And I made a call down to CPD just to say, hey, it's late in the evening and we're hearing all of this shooting going on. So, you know, we don't want you to think over there, Pam, that we forgot you and those residents. We have not, okay? It's an ongoing conversation and we're gonna continue to have those until we're all satisfied with the outcome, and that's to move them, okay? All right. Idea School. Oh boy. Yeah. Idea School. Idea School is coming. Idea School is, I'm not understanding what their approach is. They are calling around to a lot of us on council, wanting to have lunch, wanting to just talk about the school. I can't tell anybody what to do and who to have lunch with, but I will say be careful of your conversations with any of them from that school. Any of them, please be careful. Because we want to treat that business just like any other business that comes into the village of Woodlawn. They're to follow all rules and regulations. And with that being said, you know, we just don't want to put out in the street that the council is this or the council is that. The council has nothing to do with that business being here in the village of Woodlawn. All right. But we do have, it's our responsibility as the village to hold them accountable just like anybody else. Okay. So if you are approached by any of those staff members of IDEA, be careful of what you talk about. Okay. All right. All right. Our student council at the school, they were going to come and come on board with us for our January meeting to run the meeting. I have moved that to possibly February because of the cases, the coronavirus, the cases out there. I'm just concerned about their safety as well. And so I'm continuing to have those talks with their advisors at the school. The excitement is still there. The excitement is still here. And I want to welcome them. And I think what they're also going to do is incorporate Black history in their presentation when they come in February. So our goal right now is that they come to our meeting in February with the intent that we're going to have a live meeting, okay? And again, I'll keep everybody posted, all right? Each of us will have a student that will be with us. They'll act on your behalf on that day. But again, team, it is going to be so exciting, so exciting. And we're also setting a trend in the district. First in the village, first in the district to do such. And thank you, Emily, for giving me that heads up at Loveland. I reached out there and got some pointers from them as well. All right. All right. Anything else? Did anybody have anything else to bring? Nothing else? All right. So just a quick recap. We've done our housekeeping on our 2022 vice mayor. We've just briefly talked about some 2022 initiatives that we would like to see, and we'll have those further conversations with either the manager, finance, if it includes him. Some great things are going to happen in 2022, team. I have a little saying that I say here in 2022, and that's welcome to flight 2022. And we're all on that flight together here, right? And so I'm your wonderful captain. And so in this flight this year, we're going to do some wonderful, fun things that makes this village very proud. I have been just on a daily, I go out driving and seeing some of the changes that are happening. Speaking of the changes, it looks like that Wayne Lofts is going to be opening in the spring of this year. Okay, so they had originally talked about the fall of 2022, but it looks like it's going to be the spring of 2022. So I'm going to get with Pete and his team. I'd like to do a ribbon cutting up there. This is our first project in the village since the housing project. And so we want to always spotlight these projects that are happening in the village. Let people know that we're doing some things in the village, okay? All right. And when I talked about, I'm just kind of recapping over my notes. When I talked about that grant that we received, that $180,000 grant that we received, if you guys run into Commissioner Dumas was the one who actually said, you know what, Woodlawn is looking at doing this, doing that. And so she had way that we received that money. And so I'm excited again that we received that. So if you see her and about somewhere, let her know we appreciate her thinking about us over here in the village of Woodlawn. All right. Just a small recap of the end of the year in recreation, some of the activities that took place down there. Just excited to see the things that are happening down there, and the folks that are coming to these events are just they're having a ball, right? And so we want to just again support Paula and her efforts down there. And I think that we're going to really grow big in recreation. I really believe that we're going to grow big in 2022. So all of those activities that she had toward the end of the year were just some awesome activities. And I'm just looking forward to another year of them again. So with that, I'll put that in there as well. Anything else? No? Silence is, Miss Cindy, do you have anything for us?
I don't.
Okay.
Just to let you know and everyone know that I will be meeting with Emily on Friday, and hopefully our village manager, just to get caught up to speed on some things. So.
Okay. Okay. All right. Did you get all of your onboarding stuff completed?
I did, yes.
Okay. Okay, great.
So
Great.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. All right. And so you have your laptop. Anson brought you your laptop.
Yes,
but you're having some issues. If you're having any issues with that laptop, reach out to Ashley. She'd be more than happy to assist.
yeah, and she and I worked through some issues today, and I'll circle back with her tomorrow, so that's why I had to run down here, so, it's good, and they've been more than helpful.
Okay, good stuff, good stuff.
More than helpful.
Bobby got knocked off of here, y'all. Bobby got knocked off of here.
Oh, he's back.
Coming back.
Yeah, he got disconnected. Yes, Miss Tiana?
I just had a question as I was just thinking about the committee of the whole, as I was reviewing the rules of council again.
Mhm.
So if you look on, this is page 5. At the top of the page, number 4, it
Mhm.
says, in addition to the standing committees above, council shall have a committee of the whole consisting of all the members of council. A majority of the members of council must
Be present for a committee for the whole meeting. I don't call that a chair.
She went mute.
Yeah, I was reading
Sorry,
what.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know that I had accidentally hit the mute button. But my question was, previously, we did designate a council member to chair committee of the whole each month. And so now reading this, it's reading as if we don't need to do that. So my assumption is that, Mayor, you will preside over the committee of the whole meetings going forward.
Oh, silence. I went straight silence on you, didn't I?
Yes,
Sorry,
it does say that.
I'm looking for the section, Kiana,
Section 4.
section 4.
Section G4, or no.
Oh, I found it, sorry.
H4.
I guys had to catch up.
Yeah, H4. That's second to the last sentence. The committee of
Yeah.
the whole shall have no designated chair.
Yeah, so that language hasn't changed. And basically that provided flexibility that it could rotate.
Okay, perfect. Want to make sure.
So to your answer, Vice Mayor,
The answer is no.
thank you. A hard no.
Noted. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hey,
All right,
can,
so-
can we rewind that just a little bit? I just got back online. I kind of missed the question, but I kind of got some of the answer. What was this pertaining to?
It was a question about the committee of the whole. I was just getting clarification on language. In the rules of council, it says the committee of the whole shall have no designated chair. And so what Emily was saying is that just gives us the flexibility to rotate who chairs that meeting every month, and not that it's the person that's the chair over all of them for the full year.
Okay, got you. I'm sorry I missed that. Go ahead. Y'all good?
No problem.
Okay. All right. It was, when I was talking about that grant, it just popped up for me. It's the revitalization grant. And again, Commissioner Dumas was the one who requested that Woodlawn get funded.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yes, it is. All right. All right. Is there anything else that the council like to discuss tonight?
Hey, Brian, I did. I don't know if this is I guess this is the right segment. You were talking about things that we were looking forward to doing for 2020. I would like to, just me personally, I know a lot of people been complaining about the ball field down there, the baseball park. So it'd be nice to kind of clean that up, because that kind of goes in concession with the swimming pool area. I hate people to come down there we want something to do with the swimming pool. We're not really doing nothing with the fields. And they was just saying, I haven't been down there lately. They were just saying that they could be, upkeep could be a little bit better.
Okay,
So when we get our team going, it'll kind of all fit together.
okay.
So
I
would
get
just
it.
like to kind of, keep an eye on that baseball field. So
You
it ain't
got
got
it.
all bunch of weeds in there when it's time to play.
Gotcha. Okay. Duly noted. I'll make sure that I have that discussion with the village manager as well.
Okay.
All right. Okay. One thing
Brian,
that
have one last-
yes, ma'am. Pam?
I know we talked about this before, but the communications piece, I would like to see some dollars, and we talked about it before. I'm not sure if it's the mailing, if it's getting marketing in, if it's adding some other resource for communication to help our rec center get more information out. So I would like to have
Muted,
some
I
dollars.
think.
Can you hear
I
me?
can hear.
You can hear, okay.
Here.
So I would just like to see some dollars
Maybe it's just.
added to our budget to help Paula or our recreation department assist them in communication.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback on that. If, when she said the marketing, maybe the finance director and the village manager could look into some type of marketing firm to help with to help us with the communication. Maybe just a meeting with them or something. Not that they always had to be there, but a meeting with of how we could best market what is going on in the village, because there's a lot going on in the village. And it's seemingly people aren't hearing about it. We put it out there, but maybe there are other ways we could put it out there, which a marketing firm could help.
Okay.
Excuse me, I do have a question or a
Yes,
statement.
ma'am.
Where do we stand with Recreation Commission? I know Recreation Commission had been a good force before, as long as they understood their role in supporting the Recreation Department to help with some of that piece. It's nothing like manpower,
Right.
call here and there, and as well as being volunteers for the different programs. So where do we stand with Recreation Commission?
So, Cindy, I know that last year for a fact that that group, it just didn't exist, right? But I think that it is very important. I know over the years, as you and I would agree, that over the years, I felt that the Recreation Commission was very helpful in that department, right? And they come with some great ideas, and it's always been the support of the Recreation Committee from Council. And so I think that we need to look at that and possibly try to erect that group back so that we can get their input, right? They may have ways of, when we talk about the communication and the marketing, they may have ways of doing that. We need to get them back involved. I agree with you.
Mayor, that was brought up a couple of times last year. And I don't know if it was because of COVID and everything, that it was sort of didn't happen, if you will. But I agree, yes, that they are a good help. And each council member in the past, each council member has been responsible for to appoint a person. And then some of us had, but like you said, it just didn't happen. And I believe it was possibly because of all the COVID and interim stuff going on.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it was brought up several times last year.
Okay. Well, we definitely need to look at that. Thank you, Ms. Simmons. I appreciate that. I think it's very important. And so I think that we need to look at that. And Kiana, I will feed you some information because that might come into where you need to say to council, hey, we have this. We have this and we have to appoint these people. You're responsible for this person. And so if we can get that list going, then we can get that started sooner than
Right.
later.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's late for the rules for the Recreation Commission and their appointment are set forth in the charter.
Yes.
So if council wants to look at that, you'll see it, how they're appointed, and each council member does appoint one member and they serve on 2-year terms.
Correct. Okay.
And it only works well when everybody understands what their role is. The role is not to be the recreation director, it's to play your position.
I agree. I agree. Well, that kind of goes to say, you know, Cindy, when you talk about roles, if we all identify what our role is and we stay in that role, then the wheel continues to turn, right? But when we get into the midst of it, then that's where the confusion is breaking down, right?
Absolutely.
So as a group for 2022, we want to sound like that group, right? We should not be out having conversation with residents and we don't know what we're talking about, okay? What we should be saying out there is, hey, resident, I'm more than glad to have that conversation with you, but I'm going to take your concern back to the village manager and let the village manager do his work, right? That goes for any department. We shouldn't be doing that because we find ourselves, we say what they want us to hear, right? And then we've given them really wrong information. So we have to be very careful. So we talk about roles, you're absolutely right. We just have to identify what our role of council is, and we should stay there, right? So I think that's only fair to say that for a director. A director in public works should not be worried about what's going on in recreation, right? That's not your role, okay? So good point out for that as well. Okay. Anything else for the good of the conversation here tonight? None? None? All right. So again, we will, couple things moving forward. Kiana will send out, Kiana will get with each of you so we can get that committee stuff all established. Our goal is to have an in-person finance meeting. That's our goal. There may be a chance where we will be Zooming for that as well. And that is more than 50% that we're going to Zoom finance. We are going to Zoom council meeting at the end of this month. A CAL should go off the second Tuesday like we anticipate. That's our goal. But if anything changes, I'll make sure that you get a communication from Monica of any changes out there with the schedule, okay? All right. I don't have anything else. Again, does anybody have anything else? If no one has anything else, I need a motion for adjournment. And oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Pam. And oh, by the way, yes, we typically have a meal. We can sit down and have a meal, our first organizational meeting. But again, team, these numbers are just too high for that. Okay, we'll have a meal at another time. Okay. So Pam, I apologize for interrupting you. Go ahead.
That's okay. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight.
I second.
All ayes.
Aye.
Very well. There are no nays. All right. Very well. Everyone have a great evening. Emily, thank you so much for scribing for me tonight.
I got it all down.
And we will talk to each other soon.
Everyone stay
Thank you,
safe.
everybody.
Well,
Thank
Stay
you.
healthy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cindy, I'll see you
Bye-bye.
Friday.
thank you.